Hare Krishna. So we are in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Last Sunday we finished it off with the 11th chapter. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, is my screen visible to all?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So we are in the chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita. Anybody remembers what each of the 6 chapters are? The first 6 chapter, 7 to 12 and 13 to 18. What are discussed in these chapters? What about the first 6 chapters? What is the topic of discussion?
About soul.
Karma Yoga, Prabhu.
Karma Yoga.
Right? Okay. About the soul, yes, some aspect of Sankhya Yoga was also discussed. But predominantly it was about Karma Yoga. So Krishna was advocating Arjuna to do his prescribed duties with an element of detachment and offering the result to Krishna. So that is nothing but Karma Yoga. What about the middle chapters, chapter 7 to 12?
Bhakti Yoga.
Bhakti Yoga. Right? So, in between chapters 7 to 12 are about Bhakti Yoga. So, today is the 12th chapter. This is the most important chapter in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is speaking only about devotional service, Bhakti. What about the last 6 chapters?
Jnana Yoga.
Yeah. So, last 6 chapters, it is about Jnana Yoga. Okay. So, let's begin this 12th chapter with a recap from the earlier chapter, chapter 11. So, chapter 11 was about universal form, right? So, if you recall the last session, Arjuna was actually requesting Krishna to show his full opulences. In the chapter before this, chapter 10, Krishna is explaining about his different opulences, how he is the best among different people in different fields. So then in the chapter 11, Arjuna was requesting Krishna to show all his opulences in one form, single form. And that form is called the universal form. What is the Sanskrit name of universal form?
Vita.
Vishwarupam.
Vishwarupa.
Right? So Vishwarupa Darshan. So that's what Krishna gave to Arjuna. So that happened in the second section. And Arjuna was completely amazed looking at Krishna's Vishwarupa Darshan, where Krishna exhibited how millions of universes, they are actually emanating from Supreme Lord Krishna. His form had millions of head, millions of hands, ears, eyes. So it was so bewildering to see that form of Krishna. Arjuna says that form is ghastly. So then Arjuna starting to pray to the universal form of the Lord. How Arjuna is saying that I am such an infinitesimal and you are the Supreme Lord. Everything is emanating from you. Krishna also showed the Kala Rupa form. Apart from the Vishwarupa form, Krishna also showing the Kala Rupa. Basically saying how Krishna is time. All the all the warriors in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So Krishna was showing how they are all entering into Krishna's mouth, the universal form's mouth. Basically, Krishna wanted to say that, oh Arjuna, you are refusing to fight, but the outcome of this war is already decided by me. Whether you are going to kill them or somebody else is going to kill them, the fate is decided. Now it is really up to you whether you want to become my instrument or not. Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachi. So that is the essence of the chapter 11. Basically, as practicing devotees, as a sadhaka trying to understand and follow Bhagavad Gita, we always need to keep this in mind. Whatever may be our activities, day-to-day activities, we should always keep Krishna in the front. Do any activity for Krishna's pleasure. And always consider yourself as an instrument in Krishna's hand. Never think that I am the doer. Because of me only, my family is sustaining. Because of me only, we are getting money. I am the breadwinner of the family. Never think like that. Always take the humble stance. It's not even a humble stance. That's in fact a fact. Right? That we are all instruments in the hand of the Supreme Lord. Unless the Supreme Lord grants, we cannot accomplish anything. Right? So, always take that position. We are all servants of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Master. Our job is only to satisfy him. Eventually, Arjuna is saying that thank you for showing this universal form, but I am not attracted towards this universal form. Better show some other form. Then Krishna is showing the four-handed form. Arjuna is asking, no, you show the two-handed form. My dear friend Krishna. So then Krishna is coming down and he is showing his two-handed form. So that is what devotees are able to relate with more easily. The universal form is a temporary material form, whereas Krishna's Rupa, Krishna's two-handed form is eternal form, whereby he is actually showing to his devotees in the spiritual world, in the Goloka Vrindavana. Krishna always assumes the two-handed form. That is the dearmost form of Krishna. Right? So those are some of the points that we saw in the earlier session. Any questions that any of you have? If not, we can proceed further. Okay, so let's get into the chapter 12. It's a small chapter, only 20 slokas. So we'll see, but very, very important chapter. So divided into 3 sections, and Krishna is going to speak about how bhakti is the best. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is speaking about Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, so many yogas. And in between the 6 chapters, Krishna is speaking about Bhakti Yoga. Often we have read some of the novels and other books, right? Typically, the author, in order to make his conclusive statement, where would he make his conclusion? Will he make his conclusion in the beginning or in the middle or end?
End.
Yeah, usually in the end, right? But over here, Krishna is making the conclusion in the middle section. Why? Because both karma and jnana always require the support of bhakti. You cannot do karma yoga without bhakti. So you may be doing your prescribed duties, but how do you redirect the result? To whom do you redirect the result? It has to be redirected to Krishna only. So bhakti automatically comes into picture. And what about Jnana Yoga? How long can you go on study Vedic scriptures without understanding what the goal is? So even in Jnana Yoga, we require an element of bhakti. So both the Karma Yoga and the Jnana Yoga requires the support of Bhakti Yoga. That's why the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, it is acting as a support for Karma and Jnana. Nobody can understand Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga without getting the clear picture of Bhakti Yoga. So that's why Bhakti is situated in the middle chapters, and that is the conclusive statement of Krishna also. Yoginam api sarvesham madgate antaratmanam shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. That's the end of 6th chapter. Towards the end of Karma Yoga section or Dhyana Yoga section, Krishna is saying, of all the yogis, who is very dear to me? That yogi who is always dedicated to me in bhakti. Right? And even towards the 18th chapter end as well, Krishna is saying, Sarva Dharman Parityacha. Even in the end of Jnana Yoga, Krishna is saying, give up all other religion and surrender unto me only with devotion. So then I will protect you. So bhakti is the topmost yoga system. And in between slokas, between 8 and 12, Krishna is giving us knowledge on how one can progress in bhakti yoga in progressive stages. See, immediately we cannot become a pure devotee of Krishna, right? So, if that is not possible, then what is the way forward? How can I attain that stage? So, Krishna is giving a picture of how one can progressively go up in the ladder of devotion. And finally, in the last 7 slokas, 7 or 8 slokas, Krishna is talking about the qualities of his devotee, a pure devotee. Why pure devotee is very dear to Krishna? What are the reasons? Because they have such nice qualities. So Krishna is elaborating about those aspects. So these are the different sections of chapter 12. So bhakti is the best. Again, divided into 3 sections. Krishna is speaking about why the devotees are perfect and what will happen to the impersonal meditators, those who are meditating on the impersonal form of Krishna. And finally, Krishna speaks about how he personally delivers his devotees. Okay, so we'll begin with the second verse. Can someone read the translation, please?
May I read, Prabhu?
Yes.
One second. The Supreme Personality of God, it said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. So God is a person. He is not Nirakar. Many of the people, they assume that because God has unlimited powers, he cannot be a normal person like you and me. He cannot have a personal form. Nobody can see what is there beyond the sky, right? So we cannot see the universes beyond the sky. Then how can we see God? God cannot be seen. So which means he is impersonal. So these are complete wrong perceptions. It is clearly mentioned in all the Vedic scriptures that the Supreme Lord is a person. He has a form. What is Krishna's color? The complexion of Krishna?
Dark blue.
Kyamavarni.
Yeah.
Neelamegam.
Neelamegam.
Neelamegham.
Right?
Sham.
Bluish black. In English, we call
Bluish
it
black.
bluish black.
Bluish black.
Right. So it is compared to monsoon cloud. We have seen monsoon cloud, isn't it? So that is the color of Krishna. And Krishna has 2 hands, 2 arms. And what does he hold in his hand?
Flute.
Right? So the flutes, they are of different types. Depending on the situation. If he is with the gopis, he holds certain kind of flute. If he is with the cowherd boys, he will have a different type of flute. So many different types of flutes that he have. Vamsi, Venu, different kinds of flutes. And he also has a peacock feather in his head, right? Which is very distinct of Krishna. Nobody else has peacock feather. Lord Vishnu will not have peacock feather. But Krishna's form is so beautiful, attractive. And how does he stand, Krishna? If you
One
see,
side.
yeah.
Tribangi.
So what is Tribangi?
One
Three.
One foot.
No, he bends his hip and then he
hip and one leg on the other side.
one leg on the other.
Right. And what about his neck?
Also bent.
Opposite side of
Right.
the
Bent a little.
Yeah, it is also bent.
bed.
Can any one of you think of standing in that posture for a long time?
Not possible.
Not possible.
No,
Right?
not possible.
Yeah. So Krishna's form is like that. Beautiful form. It is mentioned by one of the great Vaishnava devotee of Lord that he's saying in his writing that if any of you have material desires, I strongly recommend please don't go to Yamuna, because on the bank of Yamuna in Vamsivata, there is a place called Vamsivata. There is a bluish black little boy standing in a Tribanga form with 3 bends and holding a flute in his hand. So don't go near that boy. If you go near that boy, he will take away all your material desires. So this is a statement given by a famous Vaishnava saint. So what is the internal meaning of this statement?
Relieving us from all the desires, material desires.
He'll take us to spiritual path.
Does he want us to have material desires or not?
No,
No,
we
No, he
don't.
wants us
Not.
to be focused on his lotus feet.
Yes,
He wants us to be focused on him.
exactly. Right. So that is the power of Krishna's form. Krishna's beautiful eyebrows. There is nothing in comparison to Krishna's eyebrows. What happens when somebody meditates on Krishna's eyebrows? All his lusty desires will go away. All the attraction which we are all being given by Cupid, Kamadeva, that will go away. If we meditate on Krishna's eyebrows. There is one famous pastime of Sripad Ramanujacharya, one of his disciple. Before he became disciple, he was attracted to one woman. Right? You know this story?
No.
Ramanuja. Yes.
His disciple.
Yes.
I think his name was Dasarathi, if I'm not wrong.
He climbed
Yes,
the
yes,
house.
yes, Prabhu. Please tell Prabhuji.
Sorry?
Please tell the story.
I'll tell
Prabhuji.
that pastime. So Ramanujacharya, along with his disciples, they took darshan of Sri Ranganatha in Sri Rangam, and they were returning to the ashram. And that time they noticed one peculiar incident. One man, he was so attracted to a woman, and what happened? He was walking in opposite direction to that woman. So the woman was walking in this direction. He was going like this, backwards. So he was holding an umbrella for the woman because it was hot, and he loved that woman so much that he did not want that woman to get sunburned. So he was holding an umbrella. So Ramanujacharya's disciples, they saw this incident and they were laughing at this man. But this man, he was completely aloof. He did not notice all that. He did not even see Ramanujacharya. He was just gazing at that woman's beauty. So then Ramanuja, he went to his ashram and he told one of his disciples to bring that son. So they went and brought him to his place. And Ramanujacharya asked, why are you following such bad practices? You are not supposed to be attracted to an human. And that too, this lady was a prostitute. Why are you running behind this lady? Then this man said, no, I cannot do anything because I am so attracted to her eyes. Her eyes are so beautiful. I cannot see anything else other than her eyes. Then Ramanuja said, okay, if I show you an eye which is more beautiful than this woman, will you surrender to me? Then this person said, why not? Surely.
Yeah,
Please
yes.
show somebody whose eyes are more beautiful than this lady. Then Ramanuja took him by his hands, dragged him to the temple of Ranganatha Swami, dragged him inside the sanctum sanatorium, and then he showed the darshan of Lord Ranganatha. He has never seen the darshan of Lord Ranganatha, this man. So Ramanujacharya went and showed to this place, and typically you find in South Indian temples, you cannot see the darshan unless the pujari holds the lamp, isn't it? So Ramanuja requested the pujari to hold the lamp, and as soon as he saw the Lord's beautiful eyes, then in the immediate point, this person, he fell down at Ramanuja's feet, and then he started to pray to him, please forgive me. You have opened my eyes. Thus far I thought this woman is the most beautiful person on the world. Now you have shown the Supreme Lord who is infinitely more beautiful than anybody. So then he said, I will surrender to you. I will become your disciple. Please instruct me. Right? So that is the power of Supreme Lord's form. You cannot get attracted to an impersonal form. Can you even imagine getting attracted to something which you cannot see? Not really, right? We are always attracted to something which we are able to perceive. So that's why Krishna is saying, my devotees, they are always fixing their mind on my personal form and engaging in worshipping me. So that's what Krishna is saying here. Right? So just a comparative statement between impersonalists and devotee. Who are impersonalists? Who do not agree that Supreme Lord has a form. And they only meditate on the formless Supreme. And they have to control their senses, because without controlling the senses, they cannot do meditation on the formless Lord. And they understand the Supreme Brahman through study of scriptures, studying the Upanishad, learn Sanskrit. Very, very tough process to follow. And the process is very troublesome as well. Our mind is so agitative. You cannot fix your mind on an impersonal form. It's very difficult. So there is no relationship with the Lord also. And we are all depending on one's own endeavor. If you have to achieve perfection in this process, impersonal process, you have to put your own effort. And it is only partial realization. Supreme Lord has three aspects. Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means full of bliss, happiness. In the impersonal process of meditation, you could only achieve eternity and knowledge, but there is no happiness in this. Why? Why there is no happiness in impersonal meditation? Can anyone say?
Yeah, there's no relationship with the Lord.
There is no relationship with Lord. There is no service to Lord. Right? So
No
what do you
devotional
do?
service.
What do you do studying the scriptures, doing mental speculation? You are not serving the Lord, right? So then where do you get satisfaction from? You go to a temple and you clean the temple. you can realize yourself how much of happiness you will get. Isn't it? Anyone in this call have done that? Cleaning a temple? Or putting rangoli in a temple? Or washing vessels in a temple? Anyone has done that?
Yes, Prabhuji, I had done it.
Right. So how do you feel doing that?
Got quite happiness.
Yeah, great happiness, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So-
Assisted in kitchen.
Yeah, such kind of kainkaryam, they say. So that is going to give us million times more happiness than meditating on the impersonal form of the Lord. What to speak of the devotees? They meditate on the form of the Lord. Right? So I was telling about the pastime, right? You all remember how one devotee, he was meditating on the Lord's form. He was doing seva. He was preparing sweet rice. Didn't I tell you in the earlier
Yes.
class?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Right? So what happened? As soon as he touched that pot filled with the sweet rice,
His finger got burned.
finger got burnt. And then immediately what did Lord Vishnu do? Sitting in Vaikunta. He brought him to Vaikunta. Right? Saying that his meditation of my form is far superior than the impersonal meditation. So he had so much of devotion. So devotees meditate on the form of the deities. And they don't control the senses, rather they engage their senses in the Supreme Lord service. You have hands, you can engage your hand by doing physical service, you can lift the Lord's form. Recently we celebrated Jagannath Rath Yatra, isn't it? So I was fortunate, Lord has been merciful, that some devotees, they invited me and I went there and I was part of the team of devotees who lifted Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra and we placed them inside the van, right? So Lord is very heavy. You cannot lift the Lord by your hands. But he is merciful. He is giving that opportunity. So it required nearly 10 devotees to lift Jagannath. He was so heavy, right? So you can engage your senses, you can engage your hand. Some of you were there for Rath Yatra. You engaged your hand by pulling the Rath, right?
Yes.
So Lord is considering that as a service. You can engage your eyes instead of seeing some nonsense, watching a beautiful dance, Bollywood or Hollywood dance on TV, watching a serial. Instead of that, you go and visit the Lord in temple. Take darshan of a beautiful form of the Lord. As I mentioned, all your lusty desires will go away. So engaging your senses. And the devotees, they understand Krishna through Navavida Bhakti. What are the Navavida Bhakti? We are going to see in the upcoming slide. So by engaging in 9 different processes of devotional service, a devotee is always engaged in Lord's service. And this devotional service is easy and natural. Anybody can do. Even a child can practice bhakti. Any example of child practicing bhakti that you know?
Prahalad, Bhakta Prahalad.
Bhakta Prahlad. Right? Such a small little boy, 5-year-old boy. And Dhruva Maharaj. My daughter is saying Dhruva as well. Right? So, bhakti doesn't have any age qualification. Whereas if you have to perform Jnana Yoga, it is very difficult. It requires a lot of effort from our side. And all the more, it has intimate personal relation with Krishna. Not that Krishna loves Arjuna only. No. Even if you and I can chant his holy name, can do some service to Krishna, then we also can develop relationship with Krishna. Right? So it is not very difficult. And Krishna delivers the devotee himself. A devotee does not depend on his own ability or his own devotion. Rather, a devotee always humbly thinks that he has no qualification to reach Krishna. He only depends on Krishna's mercy, Krishna's kripa. So with Krishna's kripa, a devotee will be able to cross over the cycle of birth and death. And a devotee gets complete realization, not just eternity and knowledge, but also the bliss aspect, Ananda, the Satchit Ananda Vigraha of the Lord. So that understanding or realization a devotee can get easily. Right? So we'll move ahead. So one important lesson for all of us. When a process is very complex, that does not mean it will give better result. Just because chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is very simple, anybody can chant. It doesn't mean the process is cheap or it is very less. No, rather, Bhakti Yoga is the easiest process, but it can deliver you maximum result. So we should not choose the process only based on its complexity. Right? So very important lesson for all of us. So briefly, I was talking about Navavida Bhakti. 9 processes of devotional service. What are those? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Padasevanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Right? So these are the different processes of devotional service. So far, I have only been telling about chanting. Chanting falls into which category of these processes?
Shravanam, Kirtanam.
Shravanam.
Shravanam and Kirtanam also.
Kirtanam.
Yeah. So Kirtanam
Kirtanam.
mostly because we are chanting. But because we chant and we hear, we are also doing Shravanam. Shravanam means listening. Right? One important thing is this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it has to be recited loudly. Normally, when it comes to mantras, we meditate in our mind. But Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we chant out loudly. Any reason why we are doing it that way?
The fallen souls around us will also get elevated in spiritual
To
path.
fix our mind on chanting, Prabhu, to concentrate on
Even
chanting. So
if
it's a
our
sort of
mind
meditation.
wavers, we can hear at least.
Right.
Our three senses like mind, our mouth, our listening, all gets connected to God.
Yes. Yes. Basically, we are engaging all our senses. By chanting loudly, we are able to hear as well. So we are using our ears in Lord's Seva service. We are using our mouth. Right? And all the more, there are so many living entities which are there around us. Things which we cannot see in our naked eyes. So many living organisms, right? Like on the walls, you can find a lizard, and on the floor, you can find many ants. They also get the sukruti or benefit because we are chanting the holy name loudly. So that's why the Supreme Lord's name has to be recited loud so that you can hear and other living entities can also get benefit. So that is about Shravanam and Kirtanam. So I am talking about Krishna. This is Shravanam. So you are all hearing about Krishna, which is Kirtanam in a way. And what about Smaranam?
Meditating on Bhagavan.
So how can we do that?
While doing chanting itself, we can do that.
Yes. While doing chanting, we can
Chanting, vocally singing, Lord's.
Okay.
Or remembering the Lord's
And
pastimes. Remembering Lord's pastimes.
constant remembrance of the Lord.
Right. So
Thinking about
remembrance
Him
of the Lord.
constantly.
Yeah.
Constant
Remembrance of the Lord, His activities, how nicely He deals with
Pastimes.
His devotees. By all this, we can actually remember the Lord. You hear one pastime or one story about Krishna a day, then your day will be blissful. I can guarantee you that. Krishna may be stealing butter. You just remember about that pastime, then your day will be joyous. So Krishna, when he very first time he wanted to steal butter in his own home, the house of Nanda Maharaj and Yashodama. So Krishna, what he did, he went into the Yamuna, and Yashodama, she had actually put ankle bells to Krishna. So Krishna, little boy, he knew that if he goes to the room where Mother Yashoda had stacked all the butter, then Yashoda will come to know. How? Because of the sound from the ankle bell.
Anklet.
Right? Anklet. So Krishna, what he did, he went into the Yamuna and he applied all the mud which is available in Yamuna. He applied all the mud on top of the anklet so that it will not create any sound. So he came back, and one fine morning, he got up even before, so while Yashoda was cooking in the kitchen, Krishna got up and he slowly walked towards the storeroom where Mother Yashoda had kept butter. And as he was walking and he was making noise in the storeroom because he was picking up the pot and he was trying to eat, Mother Yashoda could sense from the kitchen. So she was thinking, what is Krishna doing early in the morning today? So let me go and see. And she came out and she saw that Krishna was in the storeroom trying to eat butter. And you know what Krishna did? In the storeroom, Krishna could see that Mother Yashoda had decorated the room with a lot of nice jewels, all nice beads hanging from the top. So in that crystal bead, Krishna could see the reflection of his own face. So when Krishna saw that, then, I mean, those days, when children are young, they don't show them in front of mirror. It's a custom. So you are not supposed to take small kids in front of mirror. They will get afraid. So Yashodama also had not shown Krishna's face. So that was the first time that Krishna saw his own face. But he thought that this person is somebody else who has also come to the house and he wanted to steal butter. So Krishna thought like that. It's of course a pastime, nice little pastime. Don't think that Krishna was not aware. He is a Supreme Lord. So he started talking to his own mirror image. He started asking, how come you little boy have come to our house to steal butter? This is very bad. Then Mother Yashoda, she was standing behind and she was watching everything and she was laughing like anything. Looking at the cute activity of Supreme Lord Krishna. So then Krishna could sense that Mother Yashoda is behind. Then he got afraid. And then what he did, he smartly saw as if he did not notice Mother Yashoda. And then as soon as he saw Mother Yashoda, he said, oh ma, see here, one little boy has come to steal butter. I am muting all the devotees. So see here, you can see one little boy has come to steal butter. Then Mother Yashoda said, oh Krishna, you are such an innocent fellow. That is none other than your own self. He is not somebody else. And by the way, what are you doing in this room? And Krishna said, no, I just came here and I saw that this person was stealing butter. So I just came here. I wanted to catch him and show it to him. Then Mother Yashoda said, but your fingers are full of butter. Then Krishna said, oh, Yashodama, no. What happened is that, I was feeling so itchy in my hand. And my friend said, when you soak your hand in butter, butter is so soft that you will feel warmth. So that's why I kept my finger inside the butter. Then Yashoda said, that's fine, but why is it that your mouth is filled with butter? Then Krishna said, no, I was just shooing away all the flies, and as I was shooing away, my finger, it touched my mouth, and the butter got stuck. So Krishna was giving all silly reasons. So as soon as Yasoda heard all this, she had a big laugh, and she was so happy for Krishna. And then she said, Krishna, don't steal butter. If you want to have butter, you please tell me, I will give you butter. So this was the first experience of Krishna stealing butter. That's why Krishna is called Makanchor. We glorify Krishna for this pastime. Even if a small little child or an 80-year-old listens to Krishna's pastimes or stories, your day will be filled with joy. Right? So that is the benefit of remembering Lord's pastimes. By remembering his activities, you can be Krishna conscious. The more that you keep remembering Krishna's pastimes, the more you can remain in Krishna's consciousness. Right? And the fourth aspect is Archana, worshipping. In temples, we have seen that pujaris, they worship the deities. We go and take darshan. What do? Most of the times we go inside the temple, we stand in the queue for many hours. As soon as we go inside and take darshan of Balaji, we close our hands and we close our eyes as well. After all, after so much of effort, we are getting to see darshan of Balaji. Why can't we open our eyes and see the darshan? No? So anyhow, we have some customs that we tend to close our eyes and pray to the Lord. But worshipping the Lord is very, very important aspect of devotional service, which we all can do. It is not that only in temples we can worship the Lord. Even at home, we can keep a small little picture of Krishna and Radharani, and we can worship them at home. You can do arati. You can do some naivedyam. So like that, we can doing archana in our house itself. And pada sevanam, which means serving the Lord. You clean your house. If Lord Krishna is in your house, then automatically your house become a temple. So why only clean in temple? When your house becomes a temple, then you have to take care of your temple house like a temple. So clean it nicely. If possible, sweep with your own hands. Take care of the deities. And visit some temples, visit some tirthas like Vrindavan or Jagannath Puri, Dwarka, so many wonderful places across India. So we can visit all these places. All these become Padasevana. You are using your legs in the service of Lord. That's why it is called Padasevana. Right? So, and the sixth aspect is Vandanam, praying to Krishna, which is very, very important. Every day we need to pray to Krishna. The whole Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you notice the tone in which we recite, it looks as though we are asking something to the Lord. Isn't it? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's as if we are requesting for something. What is it that we are requesting? We are requesting to Krishna. We are requesting to Radharani. Hare means Radha. And of course, Rama. Rama also means Lord Balarama. So we are requesting to Krishna, Radha and Balarama, please engage me in your seva all the time. Please make me remain in Krishna consciousness all the time. So that is a prayer. So chanting of Hare Krishna is also Vandana. Right? Even otherwise, when you go to temple of Balaji or temple of Srirangam, you go to Jagannath Puri, you go in a prayerful mood. Oftentimes we go for sightseeing. Right? So just like how we go for Ooty or Kodaikanal, people tend to go to temples as well. But temple visit should be done with utmost devotion, utmost mood of prayer. You sincerely, those places are very, very powerful. So why not go to that place with folded hands and pray sincerely to Krishna that please make me a nice devotee. Right? So that should be done by all the devotees. So that is one form of devotional service called Vandanam. And seventh aspect is Dhasya, Seva. Krishna is the master, I am a servant. So that should be the mood. We can never become master. Our mood should always be to render service to Krishna. Right? So that is the seventh aspect. You can render service to Krishna in various forms. You can serve the Lord, or you can serve the Lord's devotees, Vaishnavas. So all these are coming under the category of Dasya. And you can also become a Sakya, or friendly relation with Krishna, just like how Arjuna was. Not that only Arjuna can become a friend, we can also become a friend of Krishna. So you act in such a way that others will say that you are a devotee of Krishna. Then you are actually becoming friend of Krishna. So you talk about Krishna to others. You talk about Hare Krishna Mahamantra to your family and friends. So that becomes a service. And you are actually becoming very friendly to Krishna. Right? And finally, Atma Nivedanam. That is the ninth aspect of devotional service, which means complete surrender. You surrender by your mind, words, and action. So, by all means, completely taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, doing all the activities only for Krishna's pleasure. That is Atma Nivedana. Right. So, these are the different processes of bhakti. We cannot be doing only one aspect of bhakti. So, we should be doing, if possible, all the 9 processes of devotional service. Chant the holy name, hear about him, remember him, do worship of these deities. You can do Pada Sevana, you can worship the Lord, you can you can pray to the Lord, you can become his servant, you can become his friend, and you can surrender completely yourself. Right? So all these form the Navavidha Bhakti, which is mentioned in the scriptures. There are different devotees who are exemplary in these services. Shravanam, Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was a personality who was cursed to be killed in 7 days by a snake. So what he did, he left alone his kingdom, his family, and then he went into the banks of a river and inquired all the sages, and he invited Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami is the son of Vyasadeva. So Sukadeva Goswami came and he recited Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 continuous days. Parikshit Maharaj was hearing about Krishna for 7 days continuously, and at the end of the 7th day, he left his body because a snake came and bit him, and he went back to Krishna's place. So Parikshit is the personification of Shravanam. And what about Kirtanam? Sukadeva Goswami. As I was saying, Sukadeva Goswami spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is a song about Krishna and his devotees. So Sukadeva Goswami in 7 days, he completely spoke entire Bhagavatam. So he is the personality for Kirtanam. So like that, Prahlad Maharaj for Smaranam, Prahlad always remembered Krishna. Even though his father was trying to kill him, still he was only remembering Supreme Lord. So he is personification for Vishnu Smaranam. Pada Sevanam, Lakshmi Devi. Right? In all the temples of Lord Vishnu, you can find Lakshmi Devi in which place? Where does Lakshmi Devi stand or sit?
Near the feet.
Near the
Near
feet.
the feet of Lord.
Near the lotus feet, right? So she always massages the Lord. She does Pada Sevanam. And Archanam, temple worship. Right? So this was given by Maharaj Prithu. Prithu Maharaj, he built many temples. Many of the old temples that we have, it all came from Prithu Maharaj's period. So he was the personification for Archanam. Vandanam, Akrura, one of the devotee of the Lord. Akrura was very famous for praying to the Lord. So he went from Mathura to Vrindavan because Kamsa, he wanted to kill Krishna. Right? So Akrura was working as a minister in Kamsa's assembly. So he went to Vrindavan. He wanted to invite Krishna. He went and he prayed to Krishna. He fell at the dust of Vrindavan. As soon as he landed in Vrindavan, he paid full obeisances and he was completely in prayerful mood. With that prayerful mood, he invited Krishna, and Krishna and Balaram, they came in the chariot which Akrura had carried. So they were very happy with Akrura's devotion. Right? So that is on Archanam and Vandanam. So Vandanam Visa and Dasyam, Hanuman. Right? So Hanuman is the famous example. How he was selflessly serving Lord Rama. So what was the toughest service that Hanuman did to serve Rama?
He took the stones for laying the bridge.
Right. So that was done by all the Vanaras.
Vanaras.
What did
He
Hanuman do in specific?
went and met Sita.
Cheetah.
So
Yes.
for that, what austerities he undertook?
Sukshma Rupa. Sukshma Rupam.
No, how did he go to that place? To Sri
He
Lanka.
crossed that
That is the
ocean
Sukshma Rupam
line.
he took.
Right. So he basically flew. Right.
Yes.
So initially he thought on his own he cannot do that. But the devotee Jambavan, he said, no, you can do, Hanuman. Right. So then he did that as a service for Lord Rama. Even though he knew that he is not capable, but still in order to please Lord Ram, he took that risk. And in between, on the journey, he encountered many demons who came and attacked him. But by Lord Rama's mercy, he was able to kill all of them. And he went and met Sita Devi. So he had so much of conviction to serve Lord Ram. Right? So he is personification of Dasyam. And what about Sakyam, our friend of the Lord? Arjuna. Who better could be categorized as a friend? Right? So Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita exclusively for Arjuna. That goes to show how dear he was. And finally, Atma Nivedanam, example is Bali Maharaj. We all know the pastime of Lord Vamana, where Lord Vamana kept, with two of his feet, he actually measured the entire upper planetary and lower planetary system. And the third feet, he could not keep anywhere because Bali Maharaj did not have any jurisdiction beyond these 14 planetary systems. So then finally he said, you keep it on my head. So the third feet, Lord Vamana kept on Bali Maharaja's head. So he surrendered himself completely to Supreme Lord Krishna. Right? So these are the examples for the different processes of bhakti. So bhakti is the best. We have so many examples. All these devotees, they did not perform karma yoga or jnana yoga or ashtanga yoga. They were all pure devotees of the Lord. Right? Just by rendering service to Krishna, you can actually become very dear to him.
Excuse me, Guruji.
Yes.
Why can't we consider Sudama as in that friend position? Arjuna, you told. Sudama is also his very good friend, no?
Definitely. See, there are different categories of friend that Krishna had. In fact, even the Gopas, whom you find in Vrindavan, they are the topmost devotees. They are also super friends of Krishna. So like that, there are many devotees as well. But these are the personifications of the different process of devotional service. Arjuna is the topmost in that category.
Probably because we consider Arjuna as his best friend, probably because he considered himself to hear this
Bhagavad Gita. He gave only Arjun the whole Bhagavad Gita
Right.
description.
Yeah. Bhagavad Gita was exclusively spoken to him.
Yes.
But definitely in the eyes of the Lord, all the devotees are are special. Lord is having individual relation with each one of them. Whether it is Arjuna or Sudama or Madhumangal or Sudama or Sridama, there are so many wonderful devotees who are friends of Krishna. There is no doubt about it. Okay, so then Krishna is speaking about what is the result of an impersonal worshipper. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Why Krishna is saying like this? Because it is very difficult to establish relationship with an impersonal form of Lord. The Nirakar form of the Lord. It is very, very difficult for someone to establish relationship. Whereas it is very easy to get attached to the personal form of Lord. As I was mentioning, just by meditating on the Lord's eyebrows, Lord's eyes, one can get rid of his lusty desires. Right? So that is the power of Supreme Lord's form. So Krishna is saying it is very, very troublesome. And Krishna personally delivers his devotees. Because the devotees, they fix their mind upon Krishna. And Krishna says, for them, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. If somebody have to cross over the cycle of birth, death, old age, disease, then better become a devotee. Then Krishna himself will deliver us from this ocean of birth and death. Right? So Krishna is giving that guarantee here. And there are different progressive stages of devotion which Krishna is speaking about in this chapter. 4 aspects. The first aspect is fixing one's mind in Krishna. These are the categories of people who are always thinking about Krishna 24/7. They are always rendering service to Krishna. If somebody cannot do that, then the Krishna's recommendation is at least follow the regulative principles of sadhana bhakti. What does it mean? We are all trying to be in this category. We are recommended to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 108 times. So like that you can chant 16 rounds in a day. So this is following sadhana bhakti. Sadhana means practice. We don't have bhakti by nature. So we are trying to become a devotee. So for that we are trying to follow certain processes. Those processes are called sadhana. Waking up early in the morning, doing deity seva, doing worship of the Lord in the form of deities, chanting the holy name, reading Bhagavad Gita, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, going to temples, associating with devotees who are always remembering Krishna. So like that, by following all these principles, we are actually developing a desire to attain Krishna. We are not yet in the perfected stage. We are still in the practicing stage. Right? So that is the second category. And Krishna is saying, third category, if you cannot become, you cannot follow sadhana bhakti, at least work for me. Like for example, somebody may be a good singer. Then instead of singing some cinema songs, you sing song for the Supreme Lord. Sing the Jayadeva Ashtapadi or sing some nice bhajans, Vaishnava bhajans. Go to a temple, sing in front of the deities. Or even at home, have a picture of Krishna and you sing. Somebody may be a software engineer. You can work for Krishna. You can work nicely, earn nicely, and you can spend nicely for Krishna. You can spend for the Rath Yatra. You can give donation, right? So by that, you can indirectly work for Krishna. And if somebody cannot even do that, then basically you need to cultivate the knowledge and start performing activities so that you are actually benefiting others. You cannot directly engage in Krishna's service, so you at least render some seva to other people. Typically sponsoring for prasadam, giving annadan to people. So like that. So this is the last section that Krishna is speaking about. So the first category, as I mentioned, that category of people, they always fix their mind upon Krishna only and engaging all the intelligence only in Krishna. Typical example is Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, even at the age of 70, he went to the US because he wanted to give Krishna consciousness to all. Just imagine somebody who is at that ripe old age. At the age of 70, people generally retire and they go to some Vrindavan or some holy places and they stay there, right? Or others will be attached to the family and they suffer at home, right? Because of old age, they get into a lot of diseases and they become neglected by the family members. They live a pathetic life. That's how a 70-year-old person leads this life, especially in the modern days. But here was a person, such a spiritually empowered person, who could travel to the US in cargo ship at the age of 70 just for preaching Krishna consciousness. He wanted to please his spiritual master, right? So such people are called perfected devotees. So that is the first category Krishna is speaking about. And the second category is what we are all hoping to be in. If you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. At least chant one round of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra daily. If you can do more, then please do more. And try to follow certain regulative principles like fasting on Ekadasi. Ekadasi comes on once in 15 days. It is very, very auspicious to fast for the Supreme Lord Krishna on Ekadasi. Janmashtami is coming in another 15-20 days. So you can fast for Krishna on that day, right? Balram Jayanti, Lord Balrama's appearance is coming. So these are all auspicious days, and by following certain rules and regulations, by fasting and by doing more chanting on such days, you get a lot of spiritual energy. You get a lot of Supreme Lord's mercy, right? So by doing all this, you slowly become elevated and you one day become a perfected devotee, right? So this is called sadhana bhakti. So this is Krishna's next recommendation. So I'm just detailing out here what are the different things that you can do. You can take guidance from spiritual master, rise early, enter the temple and offer prayers, chant Hare Krishna, offer flowers to the deities, cook for deities. No, you eat food 3 times a day. Why can't you cook for Krishna, offer to him, and then take prasadam, right? And taking prasadam, constantly hearing Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. So these are all come under the category of sadhana bhakti. Qualification, anyone can do. There are no restrictions. Any human being can do sadhana bhakti. And what is the result? Surety of love of Godhead. One day or other, we will definitely become 100% pure. Right? And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, in this age of Kali, the holy name of Lord Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the incarnation of Lord Krishna. Simply by chanting the holy name, one associates with the Lord directly. Anyone who does this is certainly delivered. So if you want to be delivered from cycle of birth and death, simply take to the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So by doing so, you are actually doing sadhana bhakti. So, and the next category is, if you cannot practice this regulations in Bhakti Yoga, then you try to work for me. Right? Like, for example, I was saying, if you are a banker, you work for a bank, and you can also help in case if there are some genuine organizations who are trying to build temple. You can use your influence, and there are many devotees who are working in bank. They give loan for the Lord's temple. So that is a seva to the Lord. So if you are a software engineer, you work for Krishna, you donate nicely. Or if you are a carpenter, you can build nice wooden stuffs for Krishna's temple. So like that, whatever may be your field of interest or field of activities, you can engage that in Krishna's service. And finally, Krishna is saying, if you cannot do any of these three, then at least do welfare for others. Do something good for others. So in that consciousness, you will slowly get elevated to the topmost stage. This is not the recommendation from Krishna. This is something which Krishna says, at the least you should do this. So the best that Krishna is aspiring for is to become a pure devotee of him. And in order to become, to come to that stage, you need to practice sadhana bhakti. Right? So the lesson for us from these verses, so Krishna is inspiring us to become a better version of ourselves. So we cannot claim ourselves to be devotee. We have the bar set. What is it that takes for someone to become a devotee? We have different set of devotees, examples, right? Arjuna for friendship, Hanuman for dasya, so many examples. Where are we? So how can we claim ourselves to be a devotee? So we need to know that we have a benchmark ahead of us. Try to improve our devotion day by day. Chant your rounds, increase your rounds more and more. Try to come to the stage of 16 rounds at least within a span of maybe 6 months or 1 year. So have that as your benchmark or your target. So then Krishna is speaking about the different qualities which are making his devotees very dear to him. He's talking about his pure devotees. How they have an attitude towards oneself, their own self, how they deal with other living entities, and what happens, what reaction happens to them when they act, and what are their dealings with the Supreme Lord. So these are the different aspects which Krishna is talking about. So attitude towards oneself, nirmamo, nirahankaraha, gatovyataha, sarvaramba parityagi. So these are all mentioned in the chapter, 12th chapter. Nirmama means free from sense of proprietorship. I am not the proprietor of anything. This house does not belong to me. Right? Who is the proprietor? Supreme Lord is the proprietor. He is the Bhokta. Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam. We saw in the 7th chapter as well. So, Nirahankaraha, free from false ego. We all think that I am so and so, I am an engineer, I am a doctor, I am a professor, I am an Indian, I am an American, so many designations. And we get into a lot of troubles in relationships mainly because of this false ego. We think that we are the best. But a devotee doesn't have any false ego at all. He always considers himself as a servant of the servant of the servant of Supreme Lord. Right? And he is free from all distress. So where is the question of distress? When a devotee is always on the platform of spirit soul, he considers himself to be not this body. So then where is the question of getting unhappiness? He is always blissful. Sarvaramba parityagi, free from all endeavors. So this is something which we need to understand clearly. It doesn't mean that when somebody becomes a devotee, he does not perform any activity. No. Rather, he performs all the activities which are in connection with Krishna. Like, for example, somebody may be having a mobile phone. Generally, we find in the modern day that people are addicted to social media, WhatsApp, and so many other things, right? So then, is mobile phone good or bad? Apparently, it seems to be bad, right? But a devotee, if he is going to use that mobile phone to communicate with other devotees, like for example, for the 18 days Bhagavad Gita, we have a WhatsApp group. So we are able to accomplish this only because of a mobile phone and WhatsApp, right? So we can use everything positively in Krishna's service. There is absolutely nothing wrong in engaging material things as long as we can engage them in Krishna's seva. You have money, very good. You can use that money for propagating Krishna consciousness. You can use that money for serving some Vaishnavas. Like that, you can become very dear to Krishna. So, endeavoring a devotee does only to satisfy Krishna, not to satisfy his own senses. So that we should be very clear. And what are his dealings with other living entities? Adveshta, non-envious. He doesn't envy anyone. A devotee doesn't envy anyone. Everybody is friends to him. He doesn't consider anyone as enemy, right? And without care. So which means he doesn't neglect anyone, neglect any other living entities. And a devotee is always silent, which means he only speaks about Krishna to others. He does not do any chit-chatting. No politics, no cinema. So all these are something which are non-Krishna conscious. So when Krishna speaks about a pure devotee, these are the standards. I know that we are all not on this standard, but don't get afraid. But Krishna is ultimately asking us to come to this platform. We can one day reach this platform by slowly climbing the ladder, by chanting the holy name with firm faith, by rendering devotional service, 9 processes of devotional service. We can all reach this stage of devotional service. Right? And reaction when things happen to him, he is always satisfied, he is forgiving, he is tolerant, he is pure, he is expert, neither laments nor desires. So basically, he is self-contented. He does not blame anyone. He does not blame the situation. Rather, he takes the blame on himself. He thinks that he is the cause of all misfortune. Right? Oftentimes what happens, we blame others easily. Why did you not do this? Because of this person. Why did you not succeed in your examination? Because of this. So we give all wrong reasons. Right? Whereas a devotee, he is always on an equipoised platform, not affected by either happiness or distress. And life lesson for us, I am in a better situation than I deserve to be. That is how a devotee considers. He doesn't think that, oh Lord, why have you put me in such a difficult situation? No. A devotee always thanks the Lord. Oh Lord, by your mercy, I am in such a good position. So that amount of gratitude we should always have for Lord Krishna. And how does he deal with the Lord? He always engages, mind and intelligence on the Supreme Lord and engaged with determination. So today I will chant 1 round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Tomorrow I don't chant because I am not in a good frame of mind. I am having a lot of difficulties. My health is not cooperating. No, devotee is not like that. Come what may, rain or shine, I will do my bhakti. Right? So that is the determination with which a devotee is supposed to be rendering service. Sthiramatir, he is fixed. He is not oscillating. Should I worship Krishna as a personal form or should I worship some impersonal meditation? No, he doesn't oscillate. He is completely convinced about serving Krishna. Right? So, Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. Krishna will always protect. That level of conviction we all should have. So then it means that we are on the platform of pure devotional service. And finally, Krishna is saying, those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Those who can follow this devotional service, which means all of us, we are all trying to do that by completely engaging ourselves with firm faith, making Krishna as the supreme goal. Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. Whatever activities that we may be doing, it should be done to please Krishna. If we can continue to do that, then we become very, very dear to Krishna. So how many of us want to become dear to Krishna here? Right?
Myself.
All of
All
us.
of us.
All of us, right? So that's why
All of us.
that's why we are studying Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, we have so many other things to do in material life. Why we should spend 1.5 hours on Saturdays and Sundays? Right? So we all have that intention to become dear to Krishna. If we sincerely have that intention, then we should perform activities that will please him. And what is it that will please him the most? Bhakti. That is the conclusion from 12th chapter. So life lesson is that good qualities may appear in anybody. Like we can find somebody who is very sattvic, who doesn't get angry at all, who is always equipoised. It doesn't mean that that person is perfect. No. If he doesn't have bhakti, then all the other qualities will count for 0. You need to have all these qualities, plus you also need to have devotion. The devotion is the key thing. In the 9th chapter, we saw Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati Tadaham Bhakti Upahritam Asnami Prayatatmanaha. You offer a little flower, a fruit, water with love and devotion, then Krishna accepts. If you don't have love and devotion, then Krishna will not accept. Right? So, all these qualities are good only when we have bhakti. So, with that, we will come to an end of chapter 12. So, continue doing your bhakti seva by chanting the holy name, by hearing more about Krishna, by studying about Krishna and Krishna's teachings. So, continue doing that on a daily basis, which is very important, not just on Saturday, Sundays. From Monday to Friday as well, we all should do some or other seva. Then we can actually become very, very dear to Krishna. Right? So with that note, I will end the session for today. Any questions that any of you have? I will take one question because I need to go for a next program here. So any one question that in case any of you have? Yes. Saujanya Mataji, you have any question?
No, no, Guruji. No.
Fine. Just go through these slides. I will share the slide and the recording. In case if you have any questions, you please park those questions. You can ask me in tomorrow's session. Apologies, I need to leave now. But thank you so much for all your patience. I really appreciate that. And let's continue this journey. We have come to 3/4 of the sessions. So 2/3 probably, yes, 2/3. So we completed 2/3 and we will complete the rest of the sections of Bhagavad Gita as well. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad
Jai.
Gita ki jai.
Jai.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, thank you very much. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.